right, good morning. It is Psalm chapter 29 today. Psalm 29. Praise to God in his holiness and majesty. This is a psalm about God's preeminence over all creation, over all mankind, and ascribing him glory and honor and majesty. It's a psalm of David, and it starts off here in verse 1. Give unto the Lord, O ye mighty ones. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. All right, so this idea of giving to the Lord, it's not so much that we're giving him our glory and our strength, but that we're ascribing to him his own glory. We're ascribing to him his own strength and majesty. And did a word search on O ye mighty ones. This can actually be, I was surprised, but can actually be rendered more of because I think mighty ones, that's like the heavenly host or the angels, or I don't necessarily consider myself a mighty one, but the idea of the might of the Lord, the children of the Lord, the progeny, the children of God are ascribing to God his glory and strength. So hey, if you didn't know, you're a mighty one. You're a child of the Most High, and you are mighty because he is mighty. Amen. Okay, so verse 3 through the end. Let me just read this whole section here, and then we'll make a few comments on it. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord is over many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. Yes, the Lord splinters the cedars of Lebanon. He makes them also skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord divides the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord makes the deer give birth and strips the forest bare. And in his temple everyone says, Glory. The Lord sat enthroned at the flood, and the Lord sits as king forever. The Lord will give strength to his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So, fantastic psalm. This psalm has the Lord's name in it, like a ridiculous amount of times for only being 11 verses. So I think that draws a special significance to this psalm. If you say his name a lot, hey, pay attention. And this actually can be taken a number of different ways. There's so many layers here. There's a prophetic layer here where you're looking forward to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords sitting enthroned above all nations, represented by these really strong trees and these mountains being splintered and brought down and shaken. That as Daniel interpreted Nebuchadnezzar's dream and said, hey, that rock's going to come rolling down the hill and destroy the nation, not only of Babylon and then the rest of that statue and all the nations that were represented there, but all the way down to the feet, the end times, that he's enthroned. It's Jesus Christ that is enthroned as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. But there's also a devotional layer that as we go through the storms of life, that just knowing that God is preeminent, that he is above all and in all and through all. There's a sense of peace and knowing that he's in control. But I just want to look at that creation aspect of this psalm this morning as we ponder these things. I've been fascinated recently with the relationship between light and sound. I don't pretend to understand all of this stuff, but I just find it fascinating, and I like looking into it. It just piques my interest. I'm a music guy, and so sound is very interesting to me. Even the physical qualities of sound, as well as light. And we know that light can produce sound. Obviously, that's what lightning and thunder is. We have first the lightning, and then you wait for it, and there's the thunder. And that's how you can measure how far away the lightning and the thunder is happening, is the distance between the light and the sound waves. And we know we can, like, 100, 2 100, or you can count the seconds that go by, and do the mileage calculations and all that. And so that's a fascinating phenomenon. Lightning itself is extremely, extremely hot. It's even hard to kind of fathom. What's the hottest thing you can think of? Well, the sun, right? Well, with the instruments that we measure the sun with, the heat of the sun, the surface of the sun, when we use those kinds of instruments on lightning, we're getting readings of 5 times the temperature of the surface of the sun. Okay, so lightning is extremely hot, almost unfathomably hot. And then thunder, likewise, is extremely powerful. The sound waves that come from thunder can be compared to, it's a physical sound. It hits you hard, like, it's 100 to 120 decibels is where we're measuring thunderclaps at when they hit you directly. So compare that to standing near a jet at takeoff. It's in the same range of decibels. Just to give you an idea of decibels, 85 decibels causes hearing loss if you're exposed at that level of sound for too long. Your ears just will be damaged permanently. So that's 85 decibels. So 100 to 120 decibels is the range of thunder. So if you just kept getting hit by thunder claps, it would definitely cause hearing loss. It is extremely powerful. So lightning, thunder, some of the most powerful stuff on this planet. So, and this is light and sound. Now, if you switch it around, so that's light producing sound, but sound waves can actually produce light. And that was new to me. I didn't know that was possible. But you can actually create a little experiment in a lab or in your bedroom if you have the right stuff to do it. And it's not super complicated. But in a jar, you can put a drop of water, create a little sound bubble in that purified water, and if you can suspend that little air bubble there using sound and then sound waves, and then that sound wave superheats that little air bubble in there, and it actually creates light, all right, like a little star. It looks like a star, and it's called sololuminescence. So if you want to Google search that and be fascinated by it along with me, sololuminescence is what it's called. And that's when sound waves produce light. There's a few little shrimp in the ocean that can use sololuminescence to stun their victims. And they make a big clap of making a sound wave, and then that creates this lightning effect, this lightning flash, and it stuns their food that they're about to eat. So fascinating stuff, the relationship between sound and light. Sound waves can actually create beautiful designs. Did you know that? There's this whole study called cymatics, and it's where you take sound waves and then you use other elements to visualize what's going on with the sound waves physically. So if you vibrate at different frequencies, you vibrate like a metal sheet, and you put sand on it, let's say. Well, those sound waves are going to cause the sand to then create a design within seconds that represent the invisible pattern that the sound wave is vibrating that sheet at. And it's beautiful. It's like if you've ever looked at a kaleidoscope and you're looking at the same sort of light and patterns and all that stuff that's going on in the kaleidoscope. That's what the sand does on a vibrating plate. And as you change your oscillating sound waves, it just creates these different patterns. Every sound wave has a design to it, and I find that to be extraordinarily wonderful. That there's so much beauty in these things that go unseen. You can shoot sound waves at water, you can shoot sound waves at fire, and it physically causes fire and water and other elements like sand on a plate to get organized. And so that's just our little hints of, like, when God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, that He is creating this amazing order out of nothing with His voice. Apparently, I'm taking this to be his sound waves that are coming from God and creating something out of nothing. What a wonderful God we have, that his voice does that kind of beauty to this physical world that he created. His voice is powerful. His word is powerful. What an amazing truth that is. Now check this out. I'll end with this. In Exodus chapter 20, verses 18 through 21, it says this: Now all the people witnessed the thunderings, the lightning flashes, the sound of the trumpet. Now this is the nation of Israel in the wilderness at Sinai there, as the 10 Commandments are being given. So thunderings, lightning flashes, the sound of a trumpet, and even a smoking mountain. That's terrifying. I mean, put yourself in their shoes. You're actually physically there, and you're getting hit with these extremely high decibels from the thunder. The lightning is flashing around you. So you have your senses are just being overwhelmed with lightning, flash, flash, clap, clap, bang, bang. A trumpet sound, add to that, I don't even know what that would have sounded like a shofar of immense decibels. I don't even know. And then you have a smoking mountain on top of that. So there's smoke, and there's sound waves hitting your chest, and it's frightening, terrifying. And they say to Moses in verse 19, "You speak with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die," is what they say to Moses. And then Moses says to the people, "Do not fear, for God has come to test you, and that his fear may be before you, so that you may not sin." So the people stood afar off, but Moses drew near the thick darkness where God was. Okay, so they just said, hey, we don't want to hear from God anymore. His voice is too powerful for us. I think we're just going to all die if he continues to speak to us. And God, I think, is speaking to them because he wants them to have the fear of God in them so that they don't sin. As he's giving them the 10 Commandments, he's like, I'm serious about this. And they said, no, we need a mediator. We can't handle this kind of power, this kind of majesty, this kind of holiness and strength. And so this psalm that David writes is just ascribing to him, give unto the Lord his strength, his power, his glory, the beauty of his holiness. Man, can you imagine what we're going to see in his presence? The beauty, the design, the light, the power. I mean, sound waves. You think you've heard loudness and power, and you think you've seen might. Well, wait until you're in heaven, because we are going to behold the source of it all, him, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, the Word of God. And this will be before us. The revelation of God will be before our eyes clearly. And we won't have to use our imagination quite so much, because it will be right there. We will be in his presence. What a wonderful day that will be. Hey, trust that God is preeminent. He is above all. He is everything, and that he is trustworthy. Look, he can handle anything for us. So let's lay our burdens before him, cast our cares on him, and put our hope in him, because he is able to do more than we can ask or and imagine. So be blessed today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Psalm chapter 30.